Hello you guys. Thank you so much for checking out my video. It has literally been months since I've been able to upload. The past couple, I don't even want to say months, but the past couple of years have really been so transformative in my life. So much has gone on, like so much has freaking happened. And as dark and as terrible as my life went, I have to be honest and say that 2020 really was a launching pad for my greatest thrive ever. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Power Ranger Princess. Kidding, my name's Christabel, and I transitioned like in the year 2011 is when I officially began my transition. And how I began my transition was very different from how a lot of these young girls are transitioning today. So, and by that I mean no disrespect, but back in 2011, the world of transitioning was very, very different. I was in therapy for a year and a half, and I tried to transition 2012, but was forced to detransition, continued my therapy, and began my transition, or socially transitioning again, in the year 2013. So it's been, it's been 10 years. It has been 10 years. And if I have to be honest with you, the way I view my transition is kind of bittersweet, because in as much as I was able to self-actualize, in as much as I was finally able to be the person that I knew that I was meant to be inside, in as much as I was letting go of everything that was burdening me, I was also giving up a life that I had worked hard to create. So I get that. I get the idea, or I get the, the quote when people say, trans women are real women and all women are real women. I get that. I definitely understand that, and I definitely understand where it comes from. I personally believe that transgender women are different from biological women, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong about that, and there's nothing wrong about acknowledging that. In my own personal experience, I can tell you that from the time I was born up until I was like 21, 22, I was conditioned as a male, and I was taught how to be a male. So in terms of societal norms and expectations, female norms and expectations were never cast upon me. Female burdens were never cast upon me. I had different burdens. I felt like I was living a lie. I felt like I was being forced to be someone that I couldn't be. Sometimes I felt like a caged animal. And when I transitioned, yes, I let go of all of the horrible things that I hated, but I also gave up on my male privilege. I had to unlearn how to be a man. I had to unlearn all of those things. I gave up that male privilege without the promise of female privilege. And yes, such a thing exists. And I was stuck in this sort of undesignated place where I had to figure out who I was while society was trying to figure out what they were looking at. Now, in no way do I condone transphobia. Of course I don't. It's traumatized me. But looking back, looking back now with older eyes, I can see that everything that I thought was transphobia was not always transphobia. Sometimes merely just existing in a trans body, gosh, was like traumatic in and of itself. When I was in that state, and when I say that state, I mean that undesignated state where I didn't pass, I felt like everyone was judging me. I felt like everyone hated me. And ironically, I would have a lot of different experiences that would just validate those feelings. And I would never have time to process everything that was happening. Like if somebody attacked me, if somebody swore at me, if I was being treated unfairly at university, I never had an opportunity to really sit down and process and be like, okay, this is heavy, I need to deal with this. No, I had to get up and go. My black ass needed to be at university. I needed to find a part-time job. I needed to be on the move. Because the thing is, when you transition much older, you have to still, in the famous words of Viola Davis, you have to still run the same race that everybody else is running. It doesn't matter if you feel as though you don't have what everybody else has and you are dealing with a lot of stuff. In this life, sometimes people expect things from you. They expect you to behave in a certain way, and they expect you to just, I guess they expect you to just transition and then be okay with it and then act normal and act like everybody else and fit into regular society and immediately pass. So for me, it felt like there were all of these expectations that people had on me. It felt like I had all of these self-imposed expectations. And it felt like I was finally giving up a lot of what I was forced to carry on. But at the same time, I did not only give up the pain of having to live in a male body, I had to give up relationships. There were people who cut me off, who would no longer speak to me. There were people who I knew would never want to speak to me, so I didn't even try to reach out, because a person can only deal with so much rejection. So I gave up people. I ended up giving up my safety, because suddenly when I was in that undesignated space where I looked neither male nor female, but was really ambiguous and I didn't pass, I gave up my safety. People treated me in horrible ways, and my life was put in jeopardy so many times, and yet still I had to just act like nothing was going on. It's no wonder that transgender women feel the way that they do. It's no wonder that we are so angry. It is no wonder that so many of us just end it all and just run 6 feet under, as opposed to dealing with this fuck shit. It's no wonder people have such a hard time dealing with it, because I know for me in my early transition, it felt like nothing but hell. It felt like nothing but hell on earth. And because I didn't really have enough time to process what was going on, gosh, it felt like I was never going to get out of that. But the funny thing is, the more I worked on myself, the more time passed, the more I started relaxing into who I was, the more I started being patient with myself, the more forgiving I was, to other people and also to myself, the more I started to unlearn my own misogyny, the more I learned how to deal with my own self-hatred, the better things got. But I'm not going to kid you and pretend like it's not difficult. It is extremely difficult. Many of us lose our families. We lose our safety net, and we are alone in the world. So I get when people look at trans people and see us as some sort of threat. Anyone who has to go through that kind of emotional turmoil, girl, you're going to slip up and make some mistakes along the way. But guess what? You have to get up and keep going and keep running the race. Eventually, you're kind of gonna be like Forrest Gump, girl. Remember when he was like running and he had the crutches, and that little blonde girl was like, "Run, Forrest, run," and the crutches broke, and he eventually got better and better and better and better. Yeah, girl. Sometimes transitioning means breaking whatever you used to be, destroying it, and using those ingredients to create something new, to create something that is kinder and fairer and more authentic to the real version of who you are. So I've been rambling a lot, and if you're not trans, you probably didn't understand anything that I said. But if you are, I just want you to know this, that life does get better. Girl, when I say 2021 was a launching pad for my highest thrive ever, like, I'm not even joking. 2021 was the year in which I had one of the worst assaults that I'd ever dealt with. And it was during that time that, a lot of things were happening. I lost my job, and a lot of people that I considered friends started, judging me for what had gone on and pulling away from me, which I totally understand, because real life is hard to look at, especially when someone that you're not that deep with is going through it. You just want to pull back and be like, give me a buzz when you're okay. So I was left 2021, broke, abandoned, everything was taken from me, and I had to start rebuilding myself. I had to allow myself to be angry. I had to allow myself to lash out. Girl, I even had to allow myself to be an internet troll. I got online and I started fighting with people for no reason. I had to get all of that anger and all of that built up resentment out of my system. And unfortunately, if you were in front of me, you got some of it. And if you hurt me, baby, I hit back 3 times harder. And that's how I survived in that point, But I think we all get to a point in our lives where we're like, this angry state, this version of me no longer serves me. I'm going to take a moment to, pause and reflect, and to ask myself, do I really want to be this angry? Do I really want to be this toxic? Do I really want to be this dark? Or am I going to try and just heal my way through it, whatever that looks like? For me, it looked like screaming and kicking and crying until I had no more tears. 2021, I got mad skinny. I was doing, if you think I'm thin now, I was doing like Mary Kate Olsen 2007 anorexia boho chic look. I was that thin. There was no body mass on me. And I looked terrible. I looked like what I was going through. But even in those moments, I was like, you know what? I will not join my attackers. I am going to be kind to myself, and I'm going to try and find a way out. The funny thing is, as hard as things were, and as difficult as things were at the time, as hard, difficult, cumbersome, as shit as they were, the next day still came. And I was fortunate enough, and I'm going to be honest, I was fortunate enough that I met someone, well, one of my ex-boyfriends literally swooped in and I don't want to say he rescued me from myself, but helped me rescue myself, if that makes sense. He helped me rescue myself. He helped give me stability that I'd never had before. And he allowed me to rest and heal. It was at that moment that I decided that it would be best for me to get out of Cape Town, get out of South Africa, move from that space and try something different, go somewhere else. I was lucky in that I created a safety net. As a trans woman, sometimes you lose your original safety net, you lose your original family, but if you're going to get through it, you need to find the right chosen family. And I know we're all trying to look for those people that are going to save us. But let me tell you this. Before you can be saved, you need to start demonstrating acts of kindness within yourself. You need to actively try and heal yourself. Actively reach out. I know it's scary. Girl, when I was breaking down, I was on WhatsApp, I was on Facebook, I was contacting everyone that I knew, and I was like, help me, please help me. And as awful as that was, and as embarrassing as that felt, I eventually found the help that I needed, and I got out of there. The point of this video is that it's a new year. Do not give up. Just keep going. Keep going until you find the light. And when you do, baby girl, I'll be here to raise a glass to you. So, before I end the video, I want to raise a glass to all the bad bitches that woke up the following day. I want to raise a glass to all the bad bitches who knew they were unpassable but still did what they had to do. I want to raise a glass to all of the trans women that paved the way for us and normalized saying yes to be authentic. And finally, I want to raise a glass to everyone that had to sit with their depression and look their demons in the eye and be like, what, bitch? You've taken everything from me. There's nothing else you can take. I want to raise a glass to that bitch because you know what? You're getting out of this muck. 2024 is going to be your best year ever. This is your thrive. This is your moment. This is your time. Cheers. All right, bye.